We have our guest. I request everyone to please stand in honor. Welcome to Galgotias University, sir. We are honored to have you at Galgotias. Thank you so much, sir, for being. I request everyone to please settle down. Pleasant afternoon to one and all present here. I, Mehek Pandit, on behalf of Galgotias University, I request everyone to please settle down. I request all the volunteers to please help in settling down the crowd. I know your enthusiasm, but then settling down is very important to start this dialogue with Prashant sir. Yeah. A very pleasant afternoon to one and all present here. I, Mehek Pandit, on behalf of Galgotias University, feels extremely honored to welcome our esteemed guests, dignitaries and participants to the Amrit, Kaal, Vimarsh, a vision for the Viksit Bharat by 2047. It's a moment of pride and honor that amongst the 9 institutions selected for hosting Amrit Kaal Vimarsh, our vision for the Viksit Bharat by 2047, Galgotias University is proudly one of them. A big round of applause, everyone. Let me tell you a little about Amrit Kaal. Amrit Kaal is a critical juncture in time, where each action and sacrifice would establish the groundwork for the magnificent history unfolding the giving next 25 years. The concept of Amrit Kaal originates from the Vedic astrology and symbolizes a golden era we all are living in. As announced by our Honorable Prime Minister, the objective of Amrit Kaal is to enhance the well-being of citizens, bridge the development gap between the rural and urban areas, and minimize the governmental interventions in the public affairs. This initiative also involves fostering the adoption and advancement of the cutting-edge technologies for the nation's progress as the lasting consequences of today's choices, anticipating their echoes to resonate throughout the next 25 years. The current era is an Amrit Kaal, which will be celebrated till India celebrates its 100th Independence Day. So before discussing the transformational changes that have led to the foundation of Viksit Bharat by 2047, may I please request our Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir to welcome our Chief Guest, Mr. Prashant Tandon Sir, Founder and CEO, Tata Energy, with a token of love. May I request our volunteer to please come up with a bouquet for Vice Chancellor Sir to welcome our Honorable Chief Guest. Big round of applause, everyone. A big round of applause, everyone. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Light is a symbol of brightness and prosperity. As sunlight expels the darkness of night, similarly, blessings bring our life prosperity and happiness. To make this afternoon a blessed one, let us invoke Goddess Saraswati by kindling the lamp of knowledge and wisdom. For seeking the choicest blessing for the same, I invite our Honorable Chief Guest, Prashant Tandon Sir, Vice Chancellor, Professor K. Malika Arjun Badu Sir, HOD, Agya Ram Pandey Sir and Divya Ma'am to please kindle the lamp. A big round of applause, everyone. But our obligations, I want to introduce, you don't need an introduction, but I want to take this opportunity to introduce Prashant Tandon sir. Prashant sir is one of the India's leading entrepreneurs in Indian digital healthcare since 2009. Having co-founded and led Tata 1MG and HealthCart, both industry-defining companies in their space. Leading and representing the industry across multiple forums. He chairs the Health Tech Committee at IAMAI and FICCI e-Pharmacy Working Group and helps DHP, an association of India's top e-health companies, as their first president. Recognized as the key industry leader and contributes actively across Indian healthcare ecosystem and public policy. Under his leadership, Tata 1MG has disrupted the standard model of healthcare delivery and growth to operate India's largest online pharmacy, diagnostic and e-consultation platform, powered by the gold standard in medicine content in India, thus making healthcare understandable, accessible and affordable for millions of Indians. Please give a big round of applause for this. Till 2009, before he returned to India, he worked at McKinsey & Company in San Francisco, where he focused on the healthcare sector. He started his career with the business leadership program at Hindustan Unilever India. We are honored to have you, sir. Now, may I take this opportunity to request you onto the stage for the delivery dialogue. Please give a big round of applause, everyone.
Yeah, this is easier. Hello. First of all, I'm really glad and honored to be here speaking with all of you today, and thank you, Professor Mallikarjuna Babu, for the kind invitation. For me, it was a great opportunity. One second. That's okay? All right. For me, it was a great opportunity and to come to a university again, and I feel so energized. And when I come and walk through, just coming all the way from the entry to here, you just feel the energy and the excitement, and one can't help but think the future of the country is very bright. If we have our universities with this much active energy, enthusiasm, hustle, bustle, all the good stuff, one feels very inspired, and that energy is infectious. So thank you so much for having me here today. It's a pleasure and an honor that I'm speaking with all of you. The topic of the day is Amrit Kaal 2047 Viksit Bharat, and I think it's very important to understand where are we in a point in time, and from the viewpoint of somebody who's been in the ecosystem now for the last almost 14-15 years, what are the changes happening? What makes it the Amrit Kaal? Why should we feel excited about what is going on? What does it mean for all of you, all the young people in this room? What does it mean? What will change in your lifetime, in your career? And what are the key skills that will make you succeed in this coming new phase? I think these are the things that I want to talk about. I would love to keep some time for questions and answers, so please feel free to put down your questions. Anything you want me to talk about, I'll be more than happy to talk. But I'll start with the big picture of where the world is and what is India's place in this changing world today. I think the world is going through a very interesting and rapid disruption across many dimensions at the same time. And this change is a very significant change, because whenever there is a shift in the macroeconomic order of the world, it leads to creation of very different new opportunities. And that is what people who are ready for the new opportunities, they thrive in that environment. Now, the world is going through a lot of specific changes. There is a rebalancing of global supply chains happening as we speak. There was, from almost late 70s, 80s, there was a huge shift of manufacturing of the entire world towards China, leading to a situation of a very large phase of economic growth in China, which lasted 30 years or more, and making China the single largest producer for the world, and literally 70, 80, 90% of production of a lot of what the West uses today or the world uses today comes from China. Now there is a rebalancing of that global supply chain. Countries are looking to whether to de-risk. COVID gave a big example of why we need to have a more diversified supply base, why we need to have a more stronger, resilient supply chain. So all the large countries of the world are looking at India. That can India is the only other large country that probably has the potential to play a very active role in this rebalancing of the supply chain. So one big shift. Second big shift, we are going through a energy transformation in the world today. There's a shift happening where the climate change is the reason, whether technology development is the reason, whether the alternate source is becoming more and more ubiquitous and adoption by consumers is happening. There is a shift towards sustainable sources of energy. Energy has always dominated how the world works. Which economy, which sector, which country, where the source of the energy lies, a lot of capital goes there. This energy is now becoming more and more distributed. Now, India is playing a leading role in this shift, global shift of the energy balance as well. So, very fundamental change that is happening. The third thing is happening is that from a phase of continued globalization, countries are now looking to move things close to home. So, from complete outsourcing, countries are becoming more and more insular, which is a shift that is happening, and it is to the advantage of India, because a lot of the long-term strategic investments that countries make and large corporations make, they make in countries which they can trust, where they can believe the system is fair, transparent, democratic, values-based, rules-based, and on all these counts, India is changing. India is becoming stronger every single day. So now what all of this is leading to for India today is a very interesting situation where the world has started looking at India at hoping that a solution to the lot of the growth requirements of the world and the strategic requirements of the world will be provided by India. On the other side, India has transformed itself to be ready to take on these challenges, capitalize on these opportunities. And that is very, very important. The country over the last decade or so has put in a lot of fundamental infrastructure in place, the building blocks, which are very important, because many times earlier also the outsourcing opportunity was there. Why did it go to China and not to India? Because India did not have the supporting infrastructure to absorb that demand. Today India is changing in that dimension in a very, very rapid way. And that change and the pace of that change is actually only accelerating. So one of the unique things that has happened is technology has come in such a major way and flattened the playing field. it has changed how a lot of things would be done in business. Now, if I look at very, very ubiquitous now, all of us use UPI for our payments. The UPI infrastructure, it's the world's single largest digital payment infrastructure that got created as a digital public good in this country. Now, however, to make that today, a lot of work got done in advance of that, because how does this entire change start? First, you need a unique digital identity for every citizen. That's where the Aadhaar program happened. The Aadhaar program made it possible that every person in the national ecosystem has a digital verifiable identity. Very important, fundamental building block. Identity is verifiable. Second building block on top of that was the number of Jan Dhan accounts that got created. So from a very low percentage of Indians actually having access to banks and banking, opening a bank account used to be a huge challenge. And today, everyone has a bank account. Money goes directly into the bank account, and that bank account is verifiable and connected through your Aadhaar KYC. You do that, and then came the layer of UPI, that actually you can make money to move into the bank accounts quicker, sooner, faster. So someone like me, and definitely a lot of you as you grow up, would be probably way more comfortable. Like, I don't carry my wallet today. I have just walked in. I don't feel the need to have my wallet, because on DigiLocker my entire identity is there. Through UPI I can make any payment I need to anywhere. And now what has changed also over the last 4-5 years is how broadly pervasive it has become. Earlier what used to happen is, for small payments, if I need to get some coconut water from the street vendor, I need to have cash. Today even that person, whether an orange bar I want to buy, the person very quickly shows me the QR code, scan, pay and get your orange bar. So 10 rupee payments, 5 rupee payments, 20 rupee payments, all of that is being done digitally. And this is extremely powerful, all this digital public infrastructure that has come in place. Now, along with that, actual real infrastructure, physical infrastructure has also, obviously that has to keep pace, because digital infrastructure enables a lot of service delivery. Physical infrastructure on top of that makes the compounding happen. Proper manufacturing, supply chain based businesses are becoming smoother, easier. The rate at which India is building roads, the rate at which we are developing ports, all of that is happening at a very, very, very fast pace. And what does it mean? Sorry. What does it mean for us going, looking at the next 25 years? Now, these are the 25 years that definitely for all of you and for most of us is going to be the prime time of our development and growth. We are the ones who are going to see the transformation happen right in front of our eyes, where the inflection point and what we do with it is actually going to happen. And to put it in perspective, if you look at it from hard numbers, what is happening? We are around a $3.5 trillion economy in India today. From here, depending on which estimate one wants to believe, but by 2047, what we call the Amrit Kaal, India will be somewhere between the 30 to a $50 trillion economy. So from 3.5 to probably, let's say 35. Basically, 90% of that value is to be created in your next 25 years of your career. That's a lot of opportunity. So that is what is building excitement in entrepreneurs like me, that we are in the right place at the right time, in the right ecosystem, doing the right thing, because we have just begun. The headroom is immense. And this is not the view that people from other countries today are taking. The world is actually looking at a very depressive growth outlook. Job creation is a challenge. And while that is happening in different parts of the world, we are in an ecosystem where excitement is only growing. And that is a very, very important thing. And that's why having positive, optimistic outlook is extremely important, because we need to believe that we are in the right place, doing the right thing at the right time, but we have to be ready for it. The opportunity is there. What do we do to grab it and capitalize on it is where our both challenge as well as reckoning is. We have to figure that out. So another thing I should talk about is, if I look back at the last 30-40 years and then the next 30-40 years, what are the fundamental transformations? And I grew up in a very lucky phase to see so much change happen during my lifetime till date, which is early 80s. In most of you would not know, but probably your parents would have the clear recollection of that. If you wanted a telephone connection, it used to be a few years of wait. You would have to apply, wait, try and request somebody to get it expedited, this, that. It took 5-7 years. We did not have a telephone in my house till 1989. And there was no active method of communication. Information was discreetly where it was. The differentiator was some people had access, some people did not. If you had access, you could do well. If you did not, you fly blind. Then one big, during that time, everything else also, television had 2 channels, DD News, DD 1 and DD Metro. Metro also came slightly later. 91, 92, satellite TV entered our lives. Suddenly, the exposure to the rest of the world from zero became very, very significant. We did not have Coke, Pepsi or anything, but those were things we had heard about that happens in international locations, and international travel for us was like going to a different world. We don't, that's not where we have any familiarity with, so we were nervous travelers. In the 90s, multimedia, cable TV, a lot of communication started coming in to our drawing rooms, and we started seeing, okay, there's a lot more stuff happening. Further moving, end 90s, early 2000s, the internet era was shaping up in a big way, where you could actually search, seek, access, absorb a lot more information than ever you could. So the information got more and more democratized. People had access to information in a way that never existed before. And then came the mobile phone, where this thing happened at your fingertips. Now these are all massive disruptions and transformations, and what they changed is a lot of basic ways we were living. The way we have seen life over the last 30-40 years, it has transformed drastically. I still remember as a child, I used to go, simple thing, to fetch milk at Mother Dairy. There used to be a line of 200 people, and you would show up at 4 p.m. and put a stone or your handkerchief, reserve my spot, and then they would run out of milk, and getting milk was a challenge. Now, for a lot of us, these basics are completely unthinkable. We don't think of these as challenges of life. And that's great. Similarly, as we are continuously moving forward, the next 25 years is where we move from, we started with a constrained economy, then we got into what was a developing economy, but now we have started the march towards a developed economy. That's the Viksit Bharat, where the challenges that the country and people living in the country face will become more and more of the higher order, more intellectual challenges, more artistic challenges, basics more and more will get taken care of. Now, having said that, what's the transformative shift that is coming in the next phase? I think the march of technology is super rapid. So, you all are hearing that AI will come and a lot of good things will happen, a lot of bad things might happen, and there's a lot of power into that. The fact is that the AI is going to change a lot of industries, and these changes are happening much more rapidly than ever before. Now, fundamentally what does this technology mean is that systems, computers, machines will have the ability to process information at a scale never seen before, at a speed never seen before, and it's pretty much going to cross the human brain's capacity to process, just from a processing capacity. How much data can be injected, how much data can be processed, the machines will become stronger in that. So a lot of work where things go through a logical flow, patterns are formed, the machines will be able to replicate a lot of those better. As with any new technology, what gets done with it, how we use it is something that we need. It all depends on how we leverage it or let it impact us. So for all of you, you need to be aware, understand what is coming next, understand how do you position yourself in this changing world, because what it also does is create another very significant world of opportunity. The way the world works, where a lot of the routine work presently being done by people will be assisted by machines. What that does is frees you up to do better things. Right? The people used to get very, very worried when computers came that everybody's job will be gone because so many people were just entering data and doing data entry work. Unka kya hoga? That kind of fear. Computers came, new jobs came with that. However, the person who was the most successful in the new world was the person who found familiarity and comfort with the new technology. So make sure that you keep learning. Now the other massive change that is happening is in the world of learning itself, because and that impacts the job ecosystem that we all look at. When I was in school and college, and a lot of curriculum was pretty much what it had been for many, many years. It continued to be based on certain basic first principles, and there was a consistency in its application as well. What does that really mean is that a lot of learning compounded over a period of time and you built on in a linear manner. As a result, in most organizations, as the more senior a person became, they would be the masters of that particular stream. And so the biggest expert in marketing would be the person who has spent the maximum years in consumer marketing, because the frameworks are the same and they just have seen more patterns with age and experience. Suddenly the world changed and is changing even more rapidly, where the biggest expert is not the person who has been there for the last 20 years. That person is, unfortunately or fortunately for that person, actually in a position of where if they upgrade, unless they upgrade themselves, they will get redundant, because the young folks like you have an opportunity to become an expert much faster because you grow up in this manner. And that's very important. Like, if I just look at my own background, I studied chemical engineering at IIT Delhi, worked at Unilever, and after my MBA went on to work in consulting and got into healthcare. Now I had no knowledge of consumer internet as a space, till I started in 2009. And as I learned, and it was all self-learning, it fascinated me and I learned more and more. And then came the space of digital healthcare, which did not exist in the country before that. And now, within a few years, probably 2013, 14, I was already one of the experts of the ecosystem in the spaces that I was operating, only because I had that chance, because nobody else could build those skills. It was not in a defined curriculum. And that is where I would urge all of you, learning what the college and university and school is very, very important to get into the process of learning. But learning today is a lifelong endeavor. And the moment you stop, you become completely redundant. And for a person my age, I have to continuously figure out how do I move myself to the next level, what do I learn. So learning right now has become a lifelong endeavor, and what the university should give you, the core skills, is the process of learning. Now what we need to do is, we need to enjoy learning. How do we learn? What do we learn? And the most important part there is the first principles. It's very important to know those. Those principles remain the same. How they get applied will probably be completely different when you enter the professional world, and then 3 years from then, 5 years from then, even more changes will happen. So you'll always have to learn. But that gives you a unique opportunity that you are on an equal footing to become an expert. And that is where depth is important. You have to work hard to learn deep. You have to go into a very high level of detail to become an expert. While that opportunity is available to you, it's available to everyone else equally as well. And that's a fundamental change that the world has, that the knowledge has become accessible to anyone who wants to get it. At any point they want to get it. So what's becoming the more important question, and as we move into a world of AI more and more, is going to be not the ability to find the answer, it would become the ability to ask the question. And that's very important, that what's the right question? What do we want to solve? What do we want to make better? How do we go about it? What are the processes? And I think when we all look at the coming phase, the next 25 years, pretty much everything we are doing in every industry that we are seeing, the transformation will be very, very rapid. And what everyone will be looking for is a workforce that is adaptable, that shows a capability of picking up new skills, new technologies, and this churn and this growth, both happening together, will create an unprecedented level of economic activity in our country, which is exactly what is the opportunity that all of you are looking forward to. And I want you to be excited, motivated, and feeling the energy that is out there, because it is right there for the taking. But what do you need to do to be fully ready for it is equally important. So the one thing that I would say is, do not expect the value of hard work to go down. Hard work to access information has become lower, but the hard work to learn more is actually equal or become higher than before, because everyone has that information or will have that information, and machines will also have that information in the future. So that is not what is going to differentiate you. What is going to differentiate will be your own effort, your own energy, your own initiative. Can you ask questions that are worth asking? Can you solve problems that are worth solving? And to do that, just equip yourself with rigor, deep work, deep learning. Whatever you are learning, whichever field you are learning, use it as an opportunity to make sure you learn deep. Learn more than Be curious. Curiosity is going to be a huge skill in the world ahead. Many times, and I've been through college myself, so I know a lot of our learning is to get good grades in the exams, and we hope that is what is going to set us for life. Yes, you need good grades to get a decent placement and all that. I won't say that that's not true, but what will set you for life is something very, very more basic and different, which is rigor. Get into depth. Be curious. Learn more than what you need to learn, just so that the process of learning becomes a muscle memory for you. You don't have to. Curiosity comes naturally, and if you can build that, you are well set for the changing world that is coming in front of us. So, I think if I were to just look at the 2 or 3 messages that I would like you to, is that we are in a world of opportunity. We are in a world where the global position is changing, India's position is getting even stronger. Our time has come, we are feeling it, the industry is excited, the startup ecosystem is excited. Everybody wants India to claim its place in the world. So that's happening, right place, right time. The second part is, for all of us individually, it will be a lot of hard work. The transformation that we are saying, 90% of the future to be built in the next 25 years or 10 times where we are, it's not going to happen by itself. It's not going to fall into our laps. We have to be ready for it. We have to build our skill sets to absorb that kind of opportunity. So very, very important part. Third, it's persistence. Persistence does pay. Stay with the problem. Whenever you are in the process of learning, and I think that process of learning and process of doing, as a new generation, one of the common, I think, fears we have, or a lot of older folks feel that the new generation does not have a focus of attention, that very quickly they change attention from A, B, C, D, E. I think the new generation is one of the most well-meaning, well-intentioned, aware generation out there. So people want to do the right thing, they want to do it the right way, they want to do a lot. Impact fundamentally matters to the next generation a lot more, and we should use that. Having said that, what needs to be also imbibed as a value is the brilliant power of compounding. Just staying with a problem, getting slightly better every day, keep getting better, and let time and hard work and patience also be an asset, because you are not playing the game for the next year. The next 25 years is a story of compounded growth. It's a marathon, and prepare yourself for that, which means it is preparing for continuously working hard, getting a little better every day if you can do that. And how do you do it in real life? Is set yourself your own personal goals, write it down, monitor yourself 1 month, 3 months down the line. Are you getting a little better at whatever excites you? It doesn't have to be coursework, it doesn't have to be anything. Whatever excites you, just keep getting a little better. A few years down the line, and that's the story of how Health Card got built and 1mg got built. We started with a simple problem, and then we started trying to solve it, and every day, month, week, year, whatever, was about, can we get a little more efficient, a little better, and all the tools are available. Technology is there, the ecosystem is supportive, government is building a lot of enabling structure around it. So, all in all, I think a fantastic time to be in might have blind spots.
Yeah.
So all of that, I see it as a big positive.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So please have your seat. I would also request all the participants, we have the QR code. You may scan the QR code for the feedback and your certificates will be generated for the session. So now moving ahead to the Q&A sessions, I request the participants to raise their hand. We have our volunteers with mics to ask Q&A. Those who have questions may raise your hands. Volunteers are requested to please move the mic.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Vinit Mittal. I am a student of biotechnology here at Galgotias University. So I have a question that when you started your journey of this entrepreneurship, so you might have invested a lot in this field, and many times you might have a question that what if the direction in which I am proceeding, what if I fail? What if things won't work out? What if I don't find the right people? Similarly, I have the same questions because I am also progressing in the similar direction. So how do you deal with these problems, and how do you not lose your sleep over it?
No, excellent question, Amrit. I think these are very genuine questions and thoughts, and I'll just share my journey. Like, what is known is what worked, but when I came back from the US that was November of 2009, my first venture was a software platform for doctors. I spent a good year and a half trying to build that, and it did not really work out. So, and we learned that we were looking at the model in the wrong way, and there was a better opportunity out there, or in some ways, and depending on the lens one carries, some would say that that was a failure, some would say that that was an investment in learning, because the next two companies came out of those learnings. So you cannot find a deep opportunity unless you immerse yourself into something with full commitment. Do that. That is what we did. So, and I think given from the experience, was my first experience where we were doing something which was not working out despite putting all our energy, resources, money, everything went into it, and it was not working out. But in the process of doing that, we learned so much about the doctor, patient, healthcare ecosystem, this, that we figured that, okay, this is the actual right opportunity. Otherwise, we would have never even found that opportunity at the first go. So now, the lens, if you have, is not of overnight success or failure, and if your lens is a longer term, then at best or at worst, it is a few years of continued deep learning. And so take it as an investment in yourself. What is most important is that you learn what does not work. It is equally important, and as famously said for Thomas Edison for the creation of the light bulb, that he tried it 10,000 times before finally something threw up light. And somebody asked him that how was that process of dealing with failure 10,000 times. He said, I never failed, I just found 10,000 ways through which a bulb will not light. So I think it is just a learn, take it as learning, learn from it, and to learn you have to be positive in your mindset also, that it is okay. You do not have the outcome of everything in your hands. You have your input in your hands. Spend your time and energy on what you can control. Learn. If luck is with you, the winds are in your favor, things work out, so many things have to fall in place. You will probably see the success early on, but if you have learned and made yourself better, you will definitely be stronger down the line. Now, another point that I'll tell, so many senior people in my company that are leading some of the biggest lines of business were what someone may call failed entrepreneurs. But again, I don't see them as failed entrepreneurs. I see them as people who actually learned much more than anyone else, because they have been through the journey of learning at a super accelerated pace. So keep your lens positive, keep your lens learning oriented. Outcome you can leave a little bit to God to support, and may you find the right outcome. But if not, make sure you get the learning, because that will help you in the long run.
Thank you so much, sir.
Next question. Volunteer, please hand over the mic. Yeah.
Good evening, sir. My name is Amrit. I'm a student of BTech Computer Science. So my question is, in the context of pharmaceuticals, what legal consideration did 1mg need to be aware of regarding the sales and distribution of prescription medications?
So I think one thing that we needed, definitely everyone needs to be aware of, is what is the prevailing law. And you don't want to break any law in whatever you do. So the prevailing law was the Drugs and Cosmetics Act and the IT Act. And what that required was pretty clear that all dispensation should happen by a licensed pharmacy from through a registered pharmacist, and the integrity of the prescription should be maintained. That was the IT requirement. And what is the model that we operate with? It is that there's a digital platform where the consumer gives us the prescription and tells the medicines they need. From there, the prescription actually goes to a physical licensed pharmacy with a pharmacist, and that pharmacist sees the prescription, does the dispensation in full compliance with the law. And so that's where the law stands currently. So when we set up this industry, it took some time to explain that, because there are a lot of players that may be operating across country borders and international medicine supplies and all of that. That's not the model that we are, or the industry in India is operating with. So now once that is done, then comes the next phase of, is there a way to streamline this industry and bring in progressive regulation, because this future model is going to evolve. So that's when, as an industry body, we started engaging with the government that this sector needs its own specific regulation. So let's work together on creating that. And in that, there's always discussion, dialogue, push and pull of what all needs to be included, not included. So that process still continues. I think one thing is, sometimes these things take a lot of time to get there, but the process has to be clear that while you are operating, don't operate in compliance with whatever is the prevailing law, and then work with the government and the regulatory ecosystems to take the law forward. Because we also recognize the Drugs and Cosmetics Act was written in 1940 and rules in 1945. So that's not relevant to the current time. So now the government is drafting a new act. So the agenda moves forward only when someone pushes for it. So I think we are playing our little role there.
Next question. Yeah.
Hello sir, my name is Sachin Kumar. I'm doing Viksit from here and I'm in second year. So you have to listen about AI and get a solution. Sir, I'm working with the project of AI and I'm looking that there is so opportunity, as you have mentioned before. Sir, there are two opportunities for us. We are looking for professional life, like we are going for service sector or production sector. As you entrepreneur, what do you want to suggest me that I need to go for production or service? That is my question.
So I think the opportunity is everywhere is the underlying thing. You should go in with whichever space one interests you more. So, and two, you have depth of understanding in. And we are in that lucky phase where it could be either manufacturing or services, and that wasn't the case till 5 years back. 5 years back, everyone would have told you that manufacturing India mein rehne do. It's a very challenging thing. But now manufacturing is back, and in a very, very big way. So whether it is product, whether it is service, actually that does not matter. It is the same within service also. With service is the same distinction of you could go to do a product also. So whatever is more interesting to you, whatever you want to learn deeper about, whatever you have some networks and knowledge about, go deep in that. You will find in most cases there's an opportunity. And I really feel there are these two major opportunities. India has always been a service market in technology to the West through the IT companies that came up. India is becoming a manufacturing market again for global exports. But India is becoming a very fast changing domestic market for both products and services. So it's a unique time that you actually have the playground as open. Play whichever sport, as long as you are good at it, you will do fine.
Next question.
Myself Richa Agrawal, and I am a third year student from BPT department, physiotherapy. And my question is, if a person talks to a doctor through 1mg tab, how does the company keep their medical information private?
I think for all platforms, that is a ticket to play. That at the end of the day, as a private organization, what is my incentive? My incentive is that patients stay with 1mg and keep coming back to me. Why will they keep coming back to me? They will keep coming back to me only if they can trust me, if I can earn their trust. Now to earn their trust, what do I need to do? I need to make sure that I take the responsibility very seriously. And one of the responsibilities is that the data of the patient, the privacy of the patient, all of that needs to be properly taken care of. Now, while there are two parts to it. One is the government itself has defined what is the data privacy requirement of the ecosystem, what everyone has to adhere by. So, and as I said before, whatever is the law, we always have to comply with that, number one, anyway. However, even though the law came earlier this year, for the last 8 years, we have been very cognizant that if we do not treat the patient's privacy and data with utmost care and respect, they will leave us. Why will they stick with us if we do anything that will lose their trust in us? So, from both these matters, and it is fairly standard how these situations have been solved in platforms across the world. And even if you look at finance, all of these are solved problems. So we today in our platform, all data, personally identifiable data, is not available to anyone. If somebody spoke with a doctor or any other professional on our platform, even if I want to see that data, I cannot access that. I can only get overall data analytics of what all is going on, but I cannot get the specific text of and that's how systems need to be designed. So design has to be privacy first. And when you look at even what the government is doing in healthcare, UHI has also been designed privacy first. So the data owner is and will be the patient, and the patient will decide what all data is to be shared with which organization for what reason. So the ownership and credentials always stay with the patient. And I think we are evolving as a country, but having the right fundamental framework is very important, and we do have that as an ecosystem, I believe.
Thank you, sir. Next question.
Hello, good afternoon, sir. My name is Suhana Singh, being from 4th year student. Sir, I want to ask one question. Can you describe any collaboration and partnership the company has with healthcare organization?
Partnership with a healthcare organization. So a lot. We partner with all kinds of organizations for all kinds of work. So we partner with a lot of NGOs. Just to give an example, right now we are partnering with a very large organization. I can't take the name for confidentiality reasons, but working on public health infrastructure for technology that can streamline the pharmaceutical supply chain for the various states of India. So we are doing that. We did a lot of work on tuberculosis with a study with Clinton Health, which was published by the World Health Organization as one of the unique examples of how technology can enable better adherence for TB management. So we did that. In our regular work also, we have an institutional business, so we work with all the large insurance companies, large corporates. In our hospital business, we work with Tata Memorial, Tata Medical Center, Tata Cancer Care Foundation, Assam Cancer Care Foundation. So a lot of business we do, and healthcare is always going to be a multi-stakeholder ecosystem. So while some of the services we provide ourselves, our patients need a lot of other partners to be enabling them. So we make that partnership model happen and the network come together. So in our business model, it is ingrained that we have to work with every other organization because we can't build everything ourselves and we don't need to.
Next question, please.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Shruti, and I want to know that how did 1mg approach intellectual properties right, including trademark and patents in the healthcare and trade sectors?
So I think the intellectual property and trademarks, we are actually we do a bunch of work. Obviously, the basic work is all your branding, all your key artifacts. You get copyright, trademark applications done. So we do have fairly clear set of trademarks for all our assets. The other thing that we do, we have applied for a few patents. We have applied, we publish a bunch of research. Not everything we do is a closed ecosystem. We offer it to the rest also to use. Certain things that are proprietary to us, we keep them under copyright, trademark or patent as relevant. So we have a very active legal and compliance team that takes care and manages all the key trademarks, intellectual property, etc., etc. It's taken care.
Thank you, sir. Next question, please. Yeah.
Good morning, sir. I am Shapnish Bhagwati from 4th year B Pharmacy. So, medical literacy is still a very big problem in our country. And recently I worked in a hospital for my hospital training, and there I observed that the pharmacists are not approachable with doctors because the doctors are always overworked in our country. And that's why patient counseling becomes a very important part of our job. So how will we replace this patient counseling when it comes to online pharmacy?
Yeah, so I think the need to get, for a patient to be made aware is actually very, very important and a gap in our ecosystem. As a digital ecosystem, it's actually scalable and possible that all the information is available on the platform, and every single, how does it work in the online pharmacy context is number one, self-serve where pharmacists and medical professionals have written down all the content on our platform, which is made accessible to the consumer when they even when they don't purchase, they can read about medicines, things that they need to know. The second part is that once they have received the prescription and placed an order, the pharmacist is available round the clock for counseling in case the patients need that. Now, I totally agree with you that the awareness today is very low, and we hope that at least when it is available digitally, more pharmacists will be and more patients will seek counseling from the pharmacists. So that's what we also hope.
All right. Next question, please. Do we have a next question? All right. Yeah, ma'am has a question.
Hello, sir. For me, till now, what I have experienced from Tata and 1mg, because I am a regular customer of that site. And so I was just worried because I am allergic. So I used to buy anti-allergic drugs on that. And every time they need prescription and every counseling is done to me. And then only they send me the whatever drugs I need.
Yep.
But I sometimes just
So I understand, and I think again, compliance with the law is absolutely critical, and then we are trying to work and suggest to the ecosystem that actually a lot of medicines that one feels are OTC just because they are available that way in the offline ecosystem are in the prescription schedule lists by law. So an anti-allergy medicine, while it seems very easy to get it as an OTC product from pharmacies, is actually a prescription medicine in India. It actually is not a prescription medicine in many Western countries. So there is a discussion and debate on whether we need to look at the reclassification, and that is so we've also published papers on that. We believe that it's time for the country to look at a practical and data-based reclassification of what medicine should be OTC, what medicine should be prescription, and we have shared all of that, but it's a constant engagement with the regulators and the government, because at the end of the day, compliance with whatever the government's view is something that we will continue to have to do, and that is the right way to do business, but we will continue to at least share our perspective, and a lot of people have the same angst that our platforms insist on 100% compliance when a lot of that may not be the norm outside, but fortunately or unfortunately, I think it is actually good for you to if the medicines require a doctor's opinion, it's good to have that one conversation. We provide it on our platform also free of cost, but irrespective, sometimes these laws are there for a reason, and better to respect them and comply them than not. Having said that, we continue to engage, to share, because a reclassification certainly seems to be due in the country now.
So this field can have a lot of progressive area and research area around this.
There is, and I think there's a lot of information also available from rest of the world. There's data available, so we also put it through our thoughts. We shared our research, and I think as I said earlier, change happens only when somebody kind of takes up the agenda and pushes for it. Having said that, one has to be patient as well. So.
This can be an opportunity.
Okay, so we'll take up last two questions only because we are in time crunch. Yeah, one question. Okay.
Hello sir. Hello sir. Myself Vimarsh Shukla. So my question is, in this competitive world, how can a new startup differentiate like 1mg did?
I think it's always every phase, everybody feels that so many of the opportunities are already taken. What should a new person do? And I think the number of opportunity actually is growing at such an explosive pace right now, because new technology is coming in at a very, very fast pace. Now, yes, there may not be a need to build another 1mg, but what is now happened is, what did 1mg do in the phase till date also is we built the basic building blocks of healthcare access and delivery. The basic plumbing is what we put together for the last 8 years or so, which is medicine delivery, lab test delivery, consultation delivery, information access. Now comes the next phase where we are working on putting it all together into consolidated, integrated healthcare delivery programs, disease management, and now a lot of other startups are using our partnership and infrastructure, and we are very happy to work with them to create deeper diabetes care models, gut health, women's health, a lot of these integrated care models. We are also trying, they are also trying, but the infrastructure is available now in many ways. And the next phase that will come after that is where the data revolution will play its role, which makes it more and more personalized, predictive, preventative healthcare. So healthcare, because the basic work is done by the first generation of companies like ours, that plumbing is in place. Now, we will have to keep ourselves relevant, so we will also keep trying to develop the next thing on top. Having said that, new companies are already mushrooming that are developing the next order solution, which otherwise would not have been possible. You could not have developed a cancer care management platform if you did not have any way of making care accessible. Now that it is done, that is the next order of opportunity in healthcare that is coming. That can you make it personalized, integrated, patient-centric, and we'll see that change only accelerate, because the rate at which data is getting generated and the rate at which government is supporting that with UHI. What is the government doing? The UHI infrastructure will be available, just like UPI, will be available to all players. Any player can integrate with that, so that the basic work of trying to build a network of doctors, trying to find a partner pharmacy, trying to find a partner lab, you don't have to put energy behind. You put energy behind what creates the next level of value. So, we have to be relevant, so we are also in the game, but so are so many focused small players who will tomorrow become large companies.
Before we take up our last question, I again request the participants to please scan the QR code, and once you give the feedback, only then your certificate will be generated. Now let us take up our last question for the day. I know you all are very excited, but then because of time crunch, we won't be able to take up much questions. Yeah, you may go ahead, please.
Hello sir, good afternoon. My question are, I'm Chandni Mishra. My question are, does 1mg coordinate with the government agency and non-profit organization to extend affordable healthcare option the underprivileged and the poor?
Yeah, so we do work with the government and non-profit organizations, as we mentioned, because there is a lot of knowledge, technology and systems that we have built over the last 10 years, which the good news is that the government also recognizes its value. So they engage with us that how can we support some of that work. Either our teams are helping on a pro bono basis themselves, or us as organization working with non-profits. And one more example I can give, we partnered with CSC, which is the Common Services Centers. Now, CSC is an initiative of the government where a village level entrepreneur is given a computer terminal and internet access and can provide a lot of services to the consumers of that village. Those services include things like your election ID, Aadhaar, banking, this, that, through a digital, so connect the digital world to the village. Now, we have partnered with them to provide medicines and Ayurvedic products through our platform. So, we'll be able to do a bunch of these things as we go along. And I think from our perspective, we always feel that a lot of what we are generating has value beyond our platform. So, which is why we publish our research, we publish and talk about what we are doing, so that more and more government and non-profit organizations can at least partner with us, leverage us at a broader scale. So those are things we'll always continue doing. And just when the COVID pandemic happened, we worked very closely with the government on supply of medicines, on technology development, getting the industry together. We worked on Arogya Setu. We set up, our teams worked on coding that platform. So a lot of good work we do, we engage actively, we try to play our role, and I think that's the benefit of being amongst the first few pioneers in this industry, that we are able to bring new things which can help public health in a hopefully decent way.
Thank you so much, sir. You are requested to stay back on the stage. Now may I please request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, for his presence on the stage for presenting the memento to our Honorable Chief Guest, Prashant Tandon, sir. Onto the stage, please. Memento, please. It was a very informative session. I really enjoyed, and I hope all the audience must have thoroughly enjoyed the session. Yeah. A big round of applause, everyone. take this opportunity Now I request all of you to take up your seats for the national anthem.
शुभ नामे जा